Yeah, good afternoon. It's April 18th. Um, President Trump is coming to Key West tomorrow. Thought I'd mention that off the bat. My video today is asks a question. My question is, execute James Comey. Execute for a capital offense. Now, of course, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but it's time to tell the truth, you know. And I'm going to just outline it and just say if it's reasonable that a reasonable path for his behaviors is treason, a capital crime. And if found guilty of treason, with the aggravating factor of being the former head of the FBI, I think that that's an executionable crime by firing squad or hanging. And I'll explain it right now. The Russian collusion thing, okay? That was based on the Steele dossier back when when the election, when Trump became president and when he won the election, and it's not even a question anymore of whether the Steele dossier was a real document. There is no Comey knew at that time that it was created by the Democratic National Convention. Everybody knows that now, except maybe if you watch one of those two stations that I will not name. But Comey doesn't even deny it. I mean, he says it bluntly. But here's what I'm getting at, okay? So the special counsel was created based on the Steele dossier and a FISA court warrant to spy on a president and then to go after him once he became president, to spy on a presidential candidate. Under the premise of him being involved with the Russians. Okay. All right, we've got that. Now, there would be no a special counsel if it wasn't for that Steele dossier. So any charges that come forth against anybody are the fruit of the poison tree, which means you can't convict someone of a crime when the reason you found out about that crime was poison in the first place. It lacked merit. All right, so why am I saying Comey can be executed? All right, so he knew that and went along with this completely fraudulent narrative about President Trump having colluded with the Russians, and now they're into Stormy Daniels and his life before being president, which is, and now they've actually raided his lawyer's office, which is beyond the pale in the United States of America. But here's what Comey said the other day. He started talking to George Stephanopoulos about the Russians having something on Trump. Now, how does he know this? He's colluding with the fucking Russians against a duly elected president. That, by his own admission, is a capital crime. Not even denied. Oh, it was a bit inferenced, but what's more to it? We have the shamed and fired former director of the FBI, who we find out is a radical leftist based on his own admissions and his family's and other things, tried to take down a president based on a false dossier, and now is spinning it around saying that he thinks our adversary can take down the president. Can you imagine 30 years ago saying, well, I think that, you know, the Russians might have something on JFK or Reagan. I want to take down President Reagan or President Carter, but I can't do it with the truth. So now I'm actually going to recruit the assistance of the people I said he colluded with in the first place. Now, people, come on. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a politician. I am a college graduate. I must have a higher IQ than you all do if you can't see this. So, I pose the question. Execute Comey. Execute Comey. If charged with treason, if convicted of a capital offense, and if the jury and judge decide that the aggravating circumstances require his death, then kill him. But only after due process, because I believe in due process. But if there's no consequence for treason anymore, then there's no treason. And if there's no treason, there's no country, there's no constitution, there's no rule of law. And I'm not saying Comey's the only one on that capital offense list. I'm just saying he's the only one that's admittedly, FBI, domestic police, leader of our domestic police force, our federal police force, telling us in an interview with George Stephanopoulos to promote his book deal that he thinks the Russians have stuff on President Trump. Well, when our citizens start going to other countries for stuff on our leaders, it's time to put the shackles on them. Please, if you disagree with me, tell me why. I mean, I know I'm trying to grab some attention here, but execute, what's his first name, Mary? Execute James Comey is a reasonable projection of the appropriate use of our legal system. In other words, he's done things that put him in jeopardy for capital crimes. You know, this lawyer's office thing, I really hope, I really hope that Trump's 4 or 5 steps ahead of these people. I worry because I usually use the standard expectations of my Republican leadership, which would tell me that they're doomed. But Trump's not a regular Republican. He's not a regular conservative. He's a patriot. Listen, guys, he might have done some things in his life. He made all the money he ever wanted to make in the world. He's getting close. We get introspective in our 60s, even in our late 50s, 60s, and 70s and 80s. And we decide that we've done everything we can in the success field. And I have a suspicion, and this is just me, that Donald Trump had a little bit of a spiritual experience once he got into office. Now, you know what? He is 70 years old. I don't know. I hope he's way ahead of him, because if he's not ahead of him, he's taking these blows. See, if he's ahead of him, he's expecting these blows. But if he's not ahead of him and he's taking these blows, I worry about his reaction. I worry about the pressure and the loyalty amongst his staff. He needs guys like me in his council. He needs lawyers. He don't need rhino Republicans like that guy he just got rid of. He needs Jersey guys. He needs matter-of-fact, high-road dudes and women, because the only way to beat the low road is to attack it with the high road. Don't give an inch. Somebody says something inappropriate, you throw it right back in their face. You have every right to. Anyway, it's a beautiful day. The wind was light. We did 80-20s, lots of 80-20s. 8 tenths effort, 2 tenths recovery, 14 of them after a loop, and it's fun. Anyway, I'm also very proud of my wife, who did well in the 7-mile bridge run. She was 9th out of 65 in a pretty competitive group of women in her age group. And she's not really a runner. She's only been running for a year and a half, 2 years maybe, on and off. So 9th out of 65 in a pretty hot group of women. So that's all I have to say. And thank you for your time. Have a lovely day.